Blah.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
So yeah, shout out to Bob Rose who did that.
shout out to Bob.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Bob.
Stand over there a little bit so we don't get the frequency feedback.
Dueling mics.
So, Jeff, thank you for coming to Halfway to Genreblast Day. I really appreciate you bringing Romeo's Distress. So, when I first saw this at Nightmares, I was taken back by the just like the indie intuitiveness of this film. It literally, when someone says go out and make your own damn movie, this is it right here. Like, this is a no budget, low budget, just labor of love that's basically kind of like a funnel into your brain, basically. So talk a little bit about, I don't know, like when you set out to make a feature film, like what goes through your head? Like what are you thinking, and like how did this turn out compared to what you originally envisioned for this film?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having Romeo's Distress. I really didn't think it was going to play in a theater again, let alone an Alamo Drafthouse, which is my favorite place in the world. So it's like, I tell you, this movie, which you can see on YouTube, by the way, is playing on Alamo Drafthouse screen. It's a real dream come true. So thank you.
No problem.
How did it turn out versus how I imagined it? The script is way different. I didn't get to shoot the last third act of the movie. The whole third act, like, basically wasn't shot. I got to shoot the end part, and there was a bunch of scenes that we weren't able to film. And as you saw, this is sort of like the director's cut, I guess, because I inserted a shot that communicated the true intentions of what was supposed to be a love triangle between a dead girl and her now ex-boyfriend, now that they're broken up, and a creepy stalker psycho that wanted to consummate his relationship. Even after the fact. And so a little bit of that came through. But it's so true about, like, a movie. You can write a movie and then you go into production, and then the movie changes again, you rewrite it based on what happens during production, and then again with the editing. And I really think a lot of the story here came together in the edit, because it's not what's on the written page, which really taught me a lot about, like, trusting. You can write something down, but then, like, don't worry about where it's going to go. Just, go with the flow and see how it all connects together.
Well, because you're really big into music and like punk music and that whole scene, and this does feel kind of like a punk film, where it's a punk rock movie. It's a punk rock movie. And talk a little bit about your influences in the punk scene and where you come from there and how that shaped the film.
I don't know if, I definitely love punk rock and punk rock music. I think that the attitude is punk, but I just took a page after all my favorite filmmakers, and I truly believe you don't have to be in LA or New York City or any major metropolitan city. You should just tell a story right where you live with the things that you have. I guess that's the Robert Rodriguez way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my grandma, who's no longer with us, but I'm sure so nice to see her on the big screen. I was like, Grandma, you have to let me feed you baby food. So she was like, okay. And I guess Dave Street, he wrote the insert on the Horror Business EP for the Misfits EP. He plays Uncle Elmo. And you know what's weird? It's been so long since I've seen Romeo's Distress that I actually got to watch it like I didn't make it, I guess. Like, I got to watch it as like a movie, I guess, which I didn't think was possible, but it totally is. And you know what I realized? I think Uncle Elmo is a figment of James's imagination. He's not real. I didn't write it that way.
Are you coming up with?
I'm coming up with that right now.
Hot takes on your own movie.
I think Uncle Elmo is a figment of his imagination. I don't think he's real. I think he tells him to do all that stuff.
You doing all right?
Because that's what he wants in his head.
Yeah.
He's not real.
I mean, it makes sense.
He says, I have no friends except for my Uncle Elmo. I was like, wait a minute. No one sees Uncle Elmo.
Did I write that? Wait, what?
I didn't write that. I totally didn't write that. But I was like, I don't think he's real.
So this definitely has like almost like a 90s indie feel, like a Larry Fessenden, Jim Jarmusch kind of.
Wow, that is high compliment.
Kind of feel going on. It really does. I was really taken by it. What were some of the initial impressions when the film was finished and some people were watching it? What did they think about it?
I mean, people seem to like it. I I try to, the thing about films are, especially your first film, especially when, you make something that's super low, no budget, it's, it can have a lot of warts, and it can be, it's like no matter what this movie is, it's my child, and you always love your children, no matter what, right? Unconditional love, so that's how I feel about this movie. Because there's a lot of stuff I would change. And that's why I inserted that butt shot at the end. Because I really, really needed James to have sex with a dead corpse. It just was not in there, and it always bothered me for years and years. I was irked. There's supposed to be a lightsaber fight under a street lamp with a golf club and a shovel. That's why he has the shovel, because it's supposed to have a lightsaber fight. He wasn't able to do it. It's supposed to be like battle of good versus evil, but reversed. And there's a lot of stuff we just didn't get to film. And so, if you're making a feature-length film and you don't get to shoot a lot of the stuff, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Find the story in the edit. Find a way to still come out with a story that you can tell, and do the best with what you got,
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you like to make your own props for your films too.
Love, favorite thing in the world.
I saw that you've got a project coming up that I saw that you were making a ton of props for. How many props did you make for this film? Did you do that work too in this film?
So everything. The whole bedroom collage. Before we even shot any footage, I took the actress who played Jane, and we shot 150 stalker photos. Then I printed them out at Kinko's, and I cut them all out and made this collage that you're only supposed to see once it comes into focus. You're not supposed to really know what's in the background. And same thing with the cracked cheese balls. I just love doing chocolate rain chocolates. I love doing that. I'm currently, I did that for this new thing, and we have some whipped cream that's called Uncle Moo, with the same Nicolas Cage emoji character. Uncle Moo's caffeine flavored, caffeinated whipped cream. It will take you to the moon. So that's gonna be fun to put on a t-shirt maybe or something.
So I know that you're a huge Nicolas Cage fan. If you could put Nicolas Cage in Romeo's Distress, where would he be and why?
That's freaking, two roles. Either play I'm officially saying this, as writer director, I now decree 5 years after this movie was made, that Uncle Elmo is a figment of James's imagination. And he could play Uncle Elmo, or he would play Dale Matthews, the bereft father.
Yeah.
Who, I feel like Nicolas Cage would kill that. He'd just be
a great freak-out scene.
Jeff Solomon did a great job.
Yeah.
That would be, Nicolas Cage in that role. He's sick.
What could have been?
What could have been? If only I had some white leather pants and, shuffled over in Vegas to him with a shrimp cocktail. I'm sure he would have been all about it.
I think he likes the opera, so you just get him some tickets to the opera.
Does he like the opera?
Yeah, he does. He likes Wagner.
Putting that little Nicolas Cage factoid in my pocket.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
I did not know that about it. I learned things about Nicolas Cage all the time. I was telling Bob Rose, whose film played before mine, I'm kind of like Nathan Essex, Mr. Sinister, who obsesses over the Summers bloodline. I obsess over the Cage bloodline.
The Cage line.
The Cage line. Yes, that's me.
So what is next for you, Jeff? I know you've got some projects in the works.
Oh, I don't know. I still can't talk about what's next, but I am working. I'm working heavily, deeply on. I have many fingers in many pies, and hopefully, if everything works out, one of those pies will be served hot and fresh, perhaps at the Winchester Alamo. But we will see. Time will tell.
Fingers crossed. In about 6 months' time.
Yeah, 6 months is plenty of time, guys. Plenty of time to do things. You can do anything in 6 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for Jeff or Romeo's Distress? Anything at all? All it takes is one person, Mike.
So the insert shot you had at the end, that was not in the cut that we saw at Nightmares?
That was not in the cut.
It's been a long time.
So what happened was I moved into my new house, and I had this closet that is completely pitch black, and I thought, it just never sat well. For years and years and years, I always used to say, it's better to compromise your vision and have something than be uncompromising and have nothing. If I was uncompromising in what I originally wanted, which was some necrophiliac love, this movie would have never been made. It just wasn't possible. There was too many elements. I couldn't get into a real cemetery, let alone simulate sex in a cemetery. It was just really hard. We broke into a cemetery at 2:00 in the morning to get those shots. And we got kicked out of the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery for the daytime shots, the guy in the white van. You'll notice, I think I said he's not thanked in the credits because he kicked us out multiple times. We kept sneaking back in. And it was just, it just never friggin' sat well with me. And so I said, you know what? I looked in the cut because I didn't want to take apart the cut. I'm sure you're well aware of this. Once you stitched a movie together and it's like a big Lego. Imagine you built a big Lego Millennium Falcon and you're like, oh, the gunner seat in the center of the Millennium Falcon. I'll just rip the whole Millennium Falcon open just to put in this little gunner seat. I'm like, I can't do that. So I found a few places where I could slip in that shot that made sense, and then added the rest with the set, did some sound effects, just to really, I guess it got the point across that he was having sex with James' corpse, right? Seems like that, right?
Yes.
Corpse sex?
Right?
That's what I was
think
hoping.
that your analogy about the Lego is really apt. When I'm building Legos and I want to put a shot of a man's ass, just plugging away at that chick, I'm totally on board with
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Totally.
Very, very sage advice. I think there was another question over here.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be like stomping on your vision, but you mentioned that Uncle Elmo is in his head. What I was thinking to kind of put a little Easter egg in there,
Yeah, please.
kind of
Love that.
supporting that.
Yeah.
The shot where you see his feet and his feet are on the cheese balls. I
Yeah.
almost don't want the cheese balls to be there. I want it just to be his feet and his legs. Like that never happened. That was all in his head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true. There was the crushing of the cheese ball, but he
Yeah,
also has
but
the hat.
they wouldn't be there in that shot. I'd be like, oh, wait a minute.
I don't know. Maybe he just was throwing the cheese balls around.
That could be it.
He just threw them around and they landed on the floor. But I just I don't know. I just love the fact that, or I think I like it better that he lives alone with his grandma. It's just, I guess it's up to interpretation. But
Yeah.
like I said, I watched this for the first time as just an audience member, and that's what as not the guy who wrote or directed or edited or made the movie. I was like, I don't think that guy's real. I think he's just a figment of the imagination. That's my hot take on my own movie.
I'll have to ask the director about that.
There you go.
No, fuck you. Shut up.
You over there.
Was it a stuffed double ass?
That's my ass. That's my ass. I went into a closet like this and put the camera lying down. I then took a LED light, shined it. It was weird. It was a weird shot to get because I had to sort of no, you know what it was? Actually, the camera was like this, now I remember. And then I got down, and mind you, it's pitch black in the closet, and what kept happening was, it was hard to line up the shot. There's nobody telling me, is my ass in frame? So I had to keep pumping the air over and over again. I was waiting for my, the light to shine on my ass just right, just to get that light. Because if it's gonna be anybody's ass, it might as well be mine. So that's what I did. Yes, so that's the answer to that question.
DIY filmmaking at its finest. Which,
Hey, if you need an ass, use your own.
any other questions? Yes, Chris.
When we find out what happens to Jane in the end, did you know that when you started writing the script, or did you write up toward it?
That I knew from the beginning. That was always planned, and it was always planned to slowly reveal. Because a lot of this, it's like wanting to be avant-garde. Like, here's a shot of him walking through New York City, and here's a shot of him eating pizza. That has nothing to do. It could totally be cut. You know what I mean? But I was like, I need this to at least hopefully pull the audience, whoever's watching it, string them along. Are you curious enough that you want to see why the thing is, and why this is in color, why it's not, that sort of thing. That was always there. But here's what's supposed to happen. James escapes. He gets cut off by Bobby, who calls Jeff Dale, who's dead, and says he's on his way. Go get her. Let's go save her. That's what he says. They pull up in front of a streetlight, lone streetlight, supposed to shine down, and then he has a golf club, and James has that shovel that he just beat Jeff to death with, and Jeff Solomon. And then they fight, and it's supposed to be like Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi. And then just to mirror the scene, the A-B scene, he's supposed to overcome his bully. You know, that whole thing. He calls him a shit stain again. He says, I am not a shit stain. That was like a A-B call response thing. And then he makes it to the cemetery. He says this thing. The character that I play was completely made up after the fact. And then I shot scenes of myself and inserted it into the movie. And there's no explanation for the character. The gravedigger guy just was like, I don't have a completed film. Just gonna literally shot the ending with me in it. Like for some reason, handing him a vial of poison that I just made up on the spot. And I was like, okay, we got a vial of poison. Now we got to go back. Got to shoot a scene where he's mashing some flowers, because that's what, you know, and I was like, oh, Romeo and Juliet, right, yeah, the poison guy. Yeah, sure, okay. And like, it's just one of those elements where literally, you know, where you look at something and it's unexplained, and then you as the viewer are supposed to sort of piece together. I'm not going to explain it because I have no explanation.
No.
And you just figure it out, or you don't, and you're just like, what, that was weird and random. And that's it.
I like that half explanation. That's perfect.
Exactly.
Any other questions before we wrap this up? Awesome. Thank you for coming out for Romeo's
All
Distress.
right.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Jeff will be here all day if you
I
want to buy him a beer or ask him a question.
Yes, let's talk.
We also have, I did not mention earlier, Josh Stifter is also here.
Woo!
He is the director of The Good Exorcist.
Woo, woo!
Tonight at 8 o'clock, he'll be here all day.
Night at 8.